was going again. I'm sorry. I've got to sort that out, haven't I? Got to get a little bit more of a bounce going, haven't we, before we start?
Never. It's all good.
I know.
But yeah,
I'm all right, lad. Yeah, I'm okay.
Yeah.
I've gone a little bit Liverpool themed on the wall today just to cheer myself up after this week, because I've gone back to the mid-90s when we weren't necessarily as good, but Robbie Fowler was playing, so it cheered me up.
Something to look forward to.
Very much so, something to look forward to. But yeah, listen, welcome to the show, everybody. Thanks for tuning in. Thursday, a little bit different this week because there is no games this weekend because of the FA Cup. So it's more of a little bit of a review, but we have got a lot to go through just because of the sheer volume of games since we were last week, right? It was 20 games in the space of about 5 or 6 days. So we're gonna go through that, but we're also going to look forward as well. There's a lot of things to talk about as far as what's going to happen down the line. So we'll start off. If you want to be subscribing to us, if you're not already, go to the website, go to YouTube, go to Instagram, Facebook at EPL Across the Pond. This is the preview show, but we also have Rival Bros on Tuesday with Timu and Edip talking about, for one thing, arguing over Liverpool and Man United, but also picking apart the games from the weekend. You have ourselves on Wednesday, World Cup Wednesday. I like those ones, if I'm honest.
It's nice to go down memory lane. Memory lane.
Yeah, very retrospective. I like that a lot. And yesterday was we did World Cup 2006 in Germany, which was quality. Mainly just talking about kits and boots and players, but it's always a good look back. And then Thursdays is the preview show. So encourage everybody to follow along. And if you've got an opinion or you want to say hello or just give us a bit of stick or jump in on a comment that we've come out with, just join us in the comments and we'll get them on the screen. Anything that's appropriate, we'll stick it on the screen. So absolutely get on top of that. So last week we left off with a poll, and the question was, do you rate who's the better centre forward?
Get your teeth in there, lad. Get your teeth in.
I know. I've got to get me gnashes in a little bit. But who's the better centre forward? Was it Drogba or was it Haaland? And the thing was about this was you were kind of on the fence because there's no question that Haaland is an absolute machine. But I really do think that Drogba changed the way centre forwards played in the Premier League, especially in a moment when it was this, there was one forward up front in a 4-3-3 and the teams had really started to play it. I went for Drogba. Who did you go for?
I went for Drogba. And the reason I went for Drogba was, Haaland, you'd have Haaland in your team all day long. You would never turn him down. But people have been scoping Haaland for years. Even when before he was at Dortmund, he was banging in goals, goes to Dortmund, scores other goals, then goes to City, and everybody wanted him. When Chelsea signed Drogba, okay, he did a little bit in France, but nobody really wanted him or expected it to be the guy. I think even Abramovich was pushing back on Mourinho, saying, I don't want him. There's other players I want to get out for, because he always wanted a big name. But for me, Chelsea didn't really get going until Drogba joined them. And that whole teams you look back on now, those golden Chelsea years, Drogba was the guy that scored all the goals in those teams.
And it literally was, he came through a period, didn't he, having a good run in the Champions League with Marseille, I think it was the year before. Yeah. And that prompted Mourinho to grab hold of him, because obviously Mourinho coming into Chelsea that year as well was a big thing. But I went for Drogba, and the votes came in.
Go on.
I'm sure there's going to be a bit of fume about this as well, but the votes, it was tight. Last week was 50-50 Van Dijk and Terry. This week was 55-45. Just tipped the scales, but it was Drogba did get it. Did get the vote from the people.
For the people.
But again, you know what? I'd love a Man City fan to comment and give us a reason why that Haaland is better than Drogba, or even a Chelsea fan.
They'll think there's voter fraud in the Across the Pond studios.
Oh my God! Could you imagine? Don't even get us started on that. All right,
we'll carry on. Crack on. Lot to do.
Yeah, we are going to go straight into the games from. Well, we'll start. It seems like an age ago now because there's been so many games. But last Friday, and this, I'll give you credit. I will give you credit because you did call it, and in true modesty, Chris Morgan style, I think you waited at least 10 minutes to text me to say I told you so.
Yeah, it's one of those, because the week before, I don't think I got anything right. I think the only thing I got the week before was, I think, United beating Everton, but nothing else I predicted went well. And I just had a fancy about Wolves. They just, when teams they you see a little spark, and there was something there in the Arsenal game. I thought they're going to kick on from this. Villa are struggling. They're on kind of not free fall right now, but they can't get the grasp of the grounds, and it's pressure, man. Pressure. It's been a long season already, and teams are starting to crack, and I love it. I love it.
I know. All right. Speaking is, you know what? And just before we go into the next bit, talk about teams that are starting to crack. This might lead us into our question for the week. We're not going to go with multiple questions. We're going to go with one question.
All right.
And because there's multiple answers to it, so it might take a while. So, get your notepad out, and everyone who's watching at home as well, get your notepads ready and have a think about this, because we might announce a few as we go, and we'll throw a couple of answers on the screen, but we'll have a look at it now. All right. So the question for this week is, name 11 stadiums that have hosted Premier League football that no longer exist.
Where do you find these things from?
I'm an absolute fountain of useless knowledge. I'm telling you now.
Premier League football that no longer exists.
So 11 stadiums. Right. There's a couple that spring to mind. This is one of them questions, right? Where if you're in the pub or you're with a group of mates and you're trying to throw up questions, it's a good question because it's difficult, but it's gettable. It's not one of these ones where it's completely random or, it comes out of nowhere. It's easy. Once you start to think about it, they start to come. When you get one, you get another one, then you get another one. So it's a gettable question.
Let me ask you this, because I think we asked this question the other week or between ourselves. How many teams have played in the Premier League? Is it 43 or something like that? 45?
It's actually, I know it's 51.
51. So 51 potential teams. We're looking for 11 of those have had new stadiums.
Yeah, and those stadiums have gone. And it might be a team that's not in the Prem anymore. It might be a team that's in the Prem now that's moved. There's a couple of obvious ones, I think. But again, if you think you know an answer or you want to chime in, fire one in the comments and we'll see. Oh, someone's fired in already. All right, I'm just gonna put this one on the screen and see. So, for example, this is a bit of a no-brainer, I think. Highbury's come in. Yeah. Highbury's come in. So that's an easy one for you. But
you said 11.
Thanks to Kelly-H6S7B, whoever the hell that is. All right. But thanks very much for it's a great username. I'm sure there was a lot of thought behind that username as well. It looks like someone's fell asleep on a keyboard.
The fat fingers have gone down.
Sausage fingers on a keyboard. Yeah, exactly. All right. Okay. So we'll get back. This Wolves thing, we've been saying this. We've been saying this for a long time. Rob Edwards has got a plan here, hasn't he? And he's almost, it's like he's galvanizing the team ready to come back up. But there must be Wolves fans out there thinking to themselves, Jesus, couldn't we have just started this a little bit earlier? Like, they've drawn at home to Arsenal. They beat Villa. They've just beat Liverpool. Like, all of a sudden you're like,
how often do we see it, Gary, when there's teams that have been relegated or pretty much done and dusted, the pressure's off. Now they're just playing in a free roll. So Rob Edwards has come in, and I'm sure the chairman said to him, and the board of directors and the owners have come in and said, look, there's no pressure. We're pretty much done. We're dusted. We're looking for the championship next year. Which of these players do you want to keep? Which ones do you want to build your team around for next year? We might not be able to keep him. We might not be able to keep him. But get a good nucleus together. Get a good core together. More importantly, get the fans on board, right? So you can go down in like April or May, but the fans see a bit of spark and they saw something to give them a bit of hope. They're going to go out and renew the season tickets in the summer. They're going to get the new shirts. And then when the season starts next year, with the new playoff systems and all that kind of thing we'll get to later, but the excitement's there from the fans, as opposed to crap in the bed. You go down, there's no real hope for next year. Are we going to sack the manager in the summer? Who's going to come in? Players coming in, going out. He's got them rocking, and you look at the table now. We'll talk about the tables in a bit. Wolves fans have got the calculators out. I'm sure they've got the calculators out now, and they're crunching the numbers and our goal difference is pretty shocking. But, we're 12 points off Forest, 4 wins, 9 games to go. Why not, right? Why not dream? Until you're down, why not dream? But I think that pressure's been taken off the players. And you saw that Friday night against Wolves, and then you saw it the other night when they won again. So I think it's all to play for now, and just makes everything a little bit more exciting, doesn't it? I'm not going to say. I forget who they beat the other day. It was it Tuesday night? I can't remember.
It was I forgot. I blacked out.
Northwest team or something like that.
I refuse to. It's funny. Yeah, here we go. Here's another one's flying in here now. Ralphie.
Roker
Park. That is an old one, isn't
the
it?
Roker Rights. Remember the Roker Rights? The Roker Rights.
The Roker Rights is right. Ralphie also throws into the comment, any contacts to Morgs Villa have run out of steam or just looking from 16th?
Well,
we don't try and get too political on this, do we, Ralphie? But we do want to...
Fact check with 17th.
Oh, you're 17th, are you? Oh,
17th,
yeah. So,
yeah.
you know what? If you're going to abuse someone, get your abuse right? And then... Kelly Fat Fingers has come back in again, and White Hart Lane's come into the chat as well. Which, you know what? Again, it's an obvious one, isn't it?
I had Spuds on the list too. Yeah.
No, God, the Spuds are on the list for a lot of different reasons tonight, unfortunately.
All right, let's get back on track. Back to the Wolves. Back to the Wolves.
Yeah, back to Wolves there as well.
I mean, you could coincide with the relegation battle at the bottom and stuff, because if you go by form, West Ham have picked up a few points lately, but you're starting to see from like Leeds down, wins apart from Wolves, wins a few and far between for the bottom 5 or 6. So it's it's going to be interesting, man. It's going to go down to the wire, I think. For
it is. We've already got people coming after Spurs straight away. Heavy Kev there is kicking off, isn't he? Spurs fans have got the nappies and baby wipes out. Listen, we'll get to them in a minute. I know people want to come after Spurs, and everyone wants to jump on the Spurs train, but like we can't go there just yet. And we have to be sympathetic to people who are Spurs fans as well. Yes. But we do appreciate the comments. And again, if you do have an idea, do have an opinion, if you want to answer one of the questions again, we'll throw it back on the screen. 11 stadiums that have hosted Premier League football grounds, games that no longer exist. We will put it out there. We've had 3 grounds already, but we're going to carry on going through the list. All right. My lock of the week was Burnley.
Right.
My upset of the week, was Burnley. My shock of the week at Everton. And I should have known, because it was my dad's 75th birthday the other day, and I got him tickets for the new stadium. He went with my brother. And of course, they were going to win. First time at the new stadium, yeah. Right. And obviously, of course, they were going to win. It was a stupid thing. But I feel bad for Burnley this past week, because they got stitched up a little bit on Saturday.
Yeah.
I don't know if you watched that game. It was an
absolute game
cracker.
Live. Yeah, watched that game live.
They've come back from 3-0 down. They've pulled it back to 3-3. Brentford have scored in the 93rd minute.
Yeah.
And then at the end, the ball's broke to Ashley Barnes, who is still there. Good for him.
Yeah.
And the thing is, I think it is handball, and it's directly influenced where the ball has gone to allow him to take that shot. But JJ Watt makes the comment, doesn't he, after the game, like, if it's taken so long, if something is so clear and obvious, why does it take so long?
Yeah.
And I think that's probably the crux of the argument, because again, JJ Watt's coming from an NFL environment where that is the law, and if it's not clear and obvious, they just go, move on, is what it is.
Let me ask you this, Gary, see what your opinion is on this, because I was thinking about this during that game. Comparing it to the NFL, they'll stop the play. The refs on the pitch will go and look at it. For the amount of time VAR is taken to do all this stuff now, why is the ref just stood there doing this? Why can't he go over to a monitor and have a look at it and him make the call?
And even, go and have a chat with the linesman.
Yeah.
And just see what it is. It's almost gone that now, hasn't it? Remember, it used to be like, if something happened in the game, you would go and talk to the linesman. Surely he should be the first, you utilize the guys in the earpiece, but go and speak to the linesman as well, and like, listen, because at least it'll give context to what's happening. But the more we say about VAR, we've got another belter in a minute, but we'll get to that, and it's going to it'll probably upset Ralphie, actually, bless him, in the comments. But yeah. So locks of the week. Yeah, I had Man United beating Palace on Saturday, and I just got away with it, even though Palace did
I done by I must admit.
Yeah, with the handball and all the rest of it. But you know what, Sesko has now got, what is it, 6 goals in 7 games, or 6 goals in 8 games?
6 goals in 8 games now. Yeah.
Finally found at his feet, isn't he? Looks confident. The goals he scores, he's a threat.
And he didn't start all those games either.
Yeah.
A lot of those games he was going off the bench and stuff. But I think you can try and compare the difference between him and Rasmus Højlund. Obviously, last year they didn't have Mbeumo, they didn't have Cunha, so he wasn't getting that service and supplying on the ball. And last year, United under Amorim were playing a different style of football. But Sesko, he reminds me a little bit of Haaland, just with the height and the strength and the speed and just that kind of like raw power. But similar to Haaland, he's good with both feet and he's good in the air as well. So I think think if United can continue on that kind of where they're going right now, stock up the defence a little bit and maybe another one or two in midfield, I think they'll have a decent team on their hands. But going back to comparing it to the Højlund situation, not Haaland, Højlund, still hard for United to have putting all their eggs in one basket on a 22, 23-year-old striker or whatever he is. That go back to the days when we were growing up. They had all their old experienced heads there with a couple of young kids playing and learning the trade. Now they've just got a young kid that's just trying to learn his trade with no, even if they had an Abramovich or who's the Uruguayan fellow they used to have, but just someone with a bit of old experience just helping them learn the trade and stuff. But it's not. It's like it's Sesko or who else is going to get the goals from a centre forward point of view. Yeah,
no, true, very true. They just don't have that, do they? They really don't. But
maybe that's the Premier League today. Teams don't have 4 strikers and they kind of pick and choose who they want. They pretty much have 1 striker and 6 wingers.
You almost as well, look at this. There's very few old heads in teams anymore because there's so much money in the game that they'll just fire off to the MLS or they'll go to Saudi Arabia and get a ton of money.
Yeah.
So you're not got lads hanging around on 1-year deals, bouncing from club to club. Unless your name is Danny Welbeck, by the way. And it was, speaking of old heads, did you know Danny Welbeck broke a record this week? And I know it's a bit tough one for you to take. They beat Forest 2-1. Danny Welbeck's the first player since Jamie Vardy to score double digits in a season for a player over the age of 33.
See, that used to be back to the Teddy Sheringham days. That was quite a common thing. We'd have, the old centre forward stroke striker that would get double digits and stuff. But like you say now, go through the Premier League. How many strikers are over 30?
Yeah, I mean, look at players like Ivan Toney. How old's Ivan Toney? Even he's not. He should be. He should be an established Premier League player, but he's in Saudi. I mean, all right, he's had his troubles, but at the same time, it's like, he would be playing, wouldn't he? He would be a Brentford player, or he would be a 3rd or 4th string player at a club, if not higher. To be fair,
go for the teams. I mean, how old was Bobby Firmino when Liverpool sold him?
Yeah, he was up there, but
and Marnie as well. Marnie was still 20s. Was he 30?
Yeah, but can't have been much more.
Right.
Can't have been much more. I'd have to look that one up for you, but still.
Harry Kane as well. I mean, Harry Kane's 32 now. I think he was 29 when he went to Germany.
He's flying, isn't he? He's flying. He shouldn't come back. Certainly shouldn't go back down the road. But all right, so your lock of the week was potentially thwarted by one of the best saves I've seen.
And that was a great game as well. It was a really good game of football.
It was. All these Newcastle games are great games. They all just absolute barnstormers, aren't they? I mean, they lost 3-2. Everton, the goals. I don't know if you've seen Everton's second goal, the slowest follow-up I've ever seen in my life. And then the third one, it would have been a penalty because Lewis Hall's manhandled Barry, but it's hit him on the head on the way in as he's just diving into the goal. But then, as we've, me and you talked about it a little bit before, and the way that Tonali's hit that shot is unbelievable. Yeah. And it is pure reaction, but that's what goalie is, isn't it? You've got to react. He had to get his hand up there. He had to make that save, and he's tipped it onto the bar.
I'd say pound for pound at the minute, Pickford's probably the best keeper in the Premier League.
That's a fair shout. Back to the point we just had there. Chris Wood, if he was fit, another class one, he would be in there, wouldn't he?
Yeah.
They need players like that around the club. Sorry, go on. Back to what you were.
I think pound for pound, Pickford's the best keeper in the Premier League at the minute. As far as consistency goes over the last 10 years, he's up there with, obviously you've had Alisson and Edison and some quality keepers and stuff, but he's never injured. If you had him in a fantasy team, he's always going to be there or thereabouts for the best keeper. And, World Cup Wednesday, talk about what he's done for England. He's arguably been England's best keeper for decades.
I've had this argument with people, and people
I still don't like him. But
he's the king of the shithouses, but you need someone like that to be a good goalie. And I think he's been consistently good for a long time. Has he got a howler in him? Yeah. I will dine out on that Divock Origi goal forever.
Well, then he pretty much destroyed Van Dijk from his.
And he nailed Van Dijk, buckled him in that season, the year after we won the league. But he's he's one of England's best goalies. For context, look, penalty saves. England in an England team that has progressed well in major tournaments, he has been a major part of it, and it's you can't deny it, whether you like him or you don't. And you can say you could say he's got little arms, and I'm not an Everton fan, and I will say he's got little arms.
You could argue as well. England's last 3 tournaments, he's probably been the best player.
Yeah. He's there. He always makes saves when they need him. He always makes, think about some of the saves he's made. And then, and then he's always big on the penalties as well. And he's an absolute lunatic. So
I like the fact that when he makes those saves, he's going to let you know he's made those saves as well.
Oh, like he's running around the box on Saturday like this, shouting "Vamos," which is brilliant because he's from Sunderland and he's speaking Spanish. Like, it's brilliant. It just makes me laugh. And then he's down in pints at the darts and stuff like that.
You don't get, that's the one thing we've argued about today's game. You don't get that anymore. You don't get your Jack Grealishes going out on the nights out and stuff like that. It's just a different world now.
Yeah,
so
it really is.
It's nice to see a bit of the bit of looseness and immaturity coming through from time to time.
Do you know what? There's a couple of results I had on the thing as well. Leeds at Man City playing at Leeds.
Right.
I don't know if you watched that game, but Leeds played very, very well and missed some big chances early. Calvert-Lewin must be kicking himself because, and they've conceded right on half time. But
I think with City is the same as what the Leeds game is, a bit same as the Forest game. It was more open than you'd think for City because they're kind of I won't say they're a box-to-box team now, but they're kind of a counter team. And it's the first time I've watched City in years where they're so open. They let teams come at them. They don't pressure to get the ball away straight. They're not in the low block trying to get the ball back as soon as they lose it kind of thing. They're more position-wise and, trying to set themselves up. And City's formation this year, I don't know if you've been looking at the formations they've been playing. It's a bit weird. They play very narrow down the middle. I think in the game yesterday, at the Forest game, they didn't line up with any wide players, even though Riley was like super, super narrow and whatnot. So, but they're still there, Was it points drop yesterday against Forest? Is that the one that's going to give Arsenal that little bit of a gap, more of a gap? But they're still there. But I think we're all waiting for Arsenal still to implode, right? But they're
just chipping away, aren't they? They're chipping away. They're getting wins. They're getting points. They're getting little bits and bobs. I mean, you talk about that game as well. The impact, we talked about the impact of corners and free kicks, but listen, I'm happy that Chelsea did score off the second corner, but how is Declan Rice getting away with that on the first one? He's literally got his hands on his shoulder and then he elbows the ball over for a goal. It's just manhandling. It's almost like refs don't care about it anymore.
Right. It's almost like new rules, isn't it? We talked at one of the World Cup shows about in 2002 World Cup, I think in Korea. They really clamped down on all the fouls in the penalty box. They were giving penalties and free kicks and stuff. But now it's like a Royal Rumble, Battle Royal kind of thing with the wrestling days where it's just every man for himself. Where's the ball going to go? Pinball. Oh, it's in the net. Okay, goal. Yeah. And a ref's scared of blowing up because there's too much to look at, or they told to be a bit more lenient.
And I think, I say about Liverpool, I give credit, a little bit of bias, but Liverpool have scored the most goals from corners since Christmas or since the holidays in this year. So we're even getting in on the act now, so much so that Cody Gakpo blocked Curtis Jones on the line the other day because there's so many people in the box. But that's a story for another day that I'm sure you'll happily get to in a minute. But, so we had a couple more. So from that weekend, Arsenal have obviously got the upper hand.
Yeah,
in the grand scheme of it, and then we've gone into the midweek games. Leeds, I think, dropped points there at home to Sunderland. Obviously, Wolves nicked Liverpool at the end.
Say again. Sorry.
So Wolves did beat Liverpool 2-1. That's why I've got Robbie Fowler everywhere because I'm trying to cheer myself
going
up.
back.
And then the Villa Chelsea game was an interesting one because 4-1. Listen, João Pedro gets the hat trick. It's obviously a big win for them. But you sent me this before. Villa score a goal on about 41 minutes. It gets
would have made it 2-1.
Would have made it 2-1. It gets given as offside. And back to your point last week about this automated offside thing where they don't really show. They just show a cartoon image. Yeah. Look at this. I found this and see if it works now, right? And I'll see if it works while we're on this thing. Right, I'm not having this. Those 2 feet, the 2 circled feet, they're not the 2 different feet.
I just realised he's lost a thumb as well. So he's took his thumb off that as well. But yeah, It's just one of those where it's like
one foot is pointing forward and the other one is pointing out. Like, I don't understand.
Well, we said before, didn't we? It's like, it's almost like, don't show that graphic. Just show the original photo that you see on the right. And then for them to say, yeah, we've took a look at it. He's offside or he's onside. That's the decision. Once you start showing people manipulated images, it begs the question of what's going on here. Did they miss something that they then have to feel that they have to change to approve it? Or, I don't want to say it, is there another agenda at hand here? They're like, well, we don't want Villa to score, so let's do this instead.
It's funny, like it's mad, and it's obviously it's the Chelsea player that's onside. They're saying he's onside, right. But it's just Villa get called for one thing and then they get pulled back for this. So Aston Villa Stato is obviously the one that we've acquired this picture from. So thanks very much. I'm almost sure that he watches, but and it comes.
He's texting me now. He's texting me right now.
Yeah, you know what? Here's the thing. You look right as well. Not only has Ralph C not bit on the Villa thing, he's gone straight in and gone, Pickford should have saved the French goal. All right. Anything to deflect from the fact that Villa got beat 4-1 at the weekend.
Right.
Or in the week. It's ridiculous.
And lost 2 games on the bounce.
I'm trying to help him out. And then you've got this Arsene Wenger thing for next year. You know what? We may as well jump on this now while the iron's hot. Like, I want you to go through this because I want your opinion on this. And if you've got me a question, I'll give you. But again, if anyone else sees this and wants to ping it something in the comments, please do, because this is a beaut. This is what Arsene Wenger has sort of devised for the new offside rule. Now, if you came up with this, I think we'd be burned as witches. Yeah, we'd be burned as witches. All right, so this is it. So is it next year, or are they trialing it in the World Cup?
No, it's gonna go live next year. It's it's one of those things where Wenger's got himself in a position based on his merit and what he's done and everything. And I don't know how this is going to translate and how it's going to work. It's 2 things that spring to mind. It's going to change the game completely, and coaches have got to learn about it. Players have got to learn how to adapt to it.
Oh, Sal said it's going to be tested in the Canadian League. So
okay, well, that's something. But just go back to being a kid when you're learning grassroots football as a 8, 9, 10-year-old, and they're trying to teach you offside anyway. Now a team's going to defend super deep. One of the things that we talked about before is how does it work with the halfway line, right? So if the player's on the halfway line, is there going to be a gap between the halfway line and him? So in theory, you could start 2 or 3 yards inside the opposition's half, just hold your leg back and see if we get it from there. You're just asking for trouble at this way, aren't you? Keep it old school. If you're a hair offside, you're offside. If it's like your fingernail, you're offside, whatever. Right. Okay. So the top one is trouble.
Yeah, the top one is saying onside, right? But if that is on the halfway line, and that guy is the only one in the other half, right? How is that onside for me?
So yeah, that's what I'm saying. If that red line is the halfway line, he's onside.
I just don't get it. I don't understand how that's. And now our team's going to play high lines right on the halfway line. Are they going to drop deeper? Like,
it depends on your centre halves, doesn't it? If
ultimately, go on. Sorry,
if you've got Kyle Walker as a defender, or someone that's got a clean pair of heels, you probably play a high line. But now they've got to be even faster. You can't just be the same speed as somebody or a little bit faster. You've got to be a lot faster over 10, 15 yards. Because if you're not, you're toast. I mean, Tarkovsky's still running back from when United beat him with that ball over the top last week. How's he going to defend against something like this?
Yeah.
He's going to stand next to Pickford and be done.
I just wonder. But you know what? I think, again, as with everything, the teams will adapt to it. And
it's going to take time.
Every time someone comes up with something like this, it's blasphemy and you're ruining the game and you're doing this, that, and the other. But ultimately, you know what? If this is what it's going to be, they trial it. I hope if they trial it, they're going to get a good bead on it, aren't they, from the Canadian League, like Sal just mentioned then. So maybe that's what it does. And if they show it, if it's glaringly obvious that it's better, then they're going to try and employ it, aren't they? So
listen, you and I are old enough. You and I are old enough to remember when the back pass rule was put into place, and it was the first season of the Premier League. That took time for keepers to learn how to adjust to it. Most keepers learn how to kick. they're not used to be kicking with the ball, playing back to the feet, how to have a touch. And it took a few years before you started seeing technical keepers, probably 20 years before keepers could really get the ball and play like a sweeper or out from the back to that level. So it's going to take time to adapt.
It's funny that, isn't it? Because you remember people like Bruce Grobbelaar for Liverpool in the 80s. Everyone thought he was absolutely bonkers because he'd come out with the ball at his feet.
Right.
And now, obviously, that would be lauded nowadays.
That's the norm. That's the norm. Can he have a touch? Can he do a spray at 20, 30, 40 yards to feet? It's all different. Left foot, right foot. Most keepers back in the day couldn't even kick out the weaker foot out of the hand.
Yeah.
Now you've got to be just as good on both feet. Per se. So, it's going to be an interesting one, and I appreciate Sal for reaching out to tell us when it's going to start the trials, so we can start trialing, watching it to see what we think of it.
Oh my God, I know exactly. So a couple more games that I think, the Newcastle Man United game again, another cracker. It was end to end, wasn't it? I mean, and you kind of mentioned it before, didn't you? About Pickford made that save that changed the game on Saturday, but Ramsdale, it was Ramsdale as well, wasn't it? He's made an absolute worldie, hasn't he, at the other end?
It was a belter. Xerxes got the ball. He's smashed it. It reminded me of Gary Adair in 2003, connecting with the ball, power, accuracy. It's going in top bins. And
I'm glad you said that, because I've caught some stick for that for certain comments that I've made about my ball striking ability. In the football sense.
Let me go for a second then.
Calm
That's
down.
another story for another day, but I can vouch. Gary Gary's got some great ball control, and he can strike a ball pretty well.
Is right.
I've seen it with my own eyes. Nobody shared. Seen it with my own eyes. Another story for another day though. But it was one of those. Xerxes took a strike, and the keeper's it's one of those where it's going in, and he's got a worldly save to it. I think I was texting you when I was watching it. Tipped it round I think it went for a corner and everything. And then a couple of minutes later, Newcastle have just gone up the other end and scored an absolute belter. The guy's looks like he's going to run it into touch. Then he looks like he's going to fall over. And then he comes back, he checks it, and he just bends it in the top corner. It was just wild.
Left pegger as well. He's cut in on his right. He's come across. He's just gone. And you think, he's going to pull it back like every other winger tends to do nowadays. And he's just absolutely whipped it far corner with his left foot. It's great finish. Great finish.
Worth any goal like that's worth you winning any game. So
true.
To Newcastle, and
it just. I mean, we'll get to the league in a minute, won't we? But a couple more games like the Arsenal one, Arsenal again. That's a win. You talk about swings. Like, I think when we look at the table in a minute, Liverpool, as brutal as Liverpool are at the moment, they're not particularly hurt by the weekend's games, whereas Arsenal have fully took advantage of City drawing a game there. And funnily enough, Saka, on his 300th appearance for Arsenal, gets his goal and they win 1-0.
You know what it reminded me of? With the Arsenal picking up all these 1-0 games, just reminds me a lot of like those United teams back in the day that would just win 1-0. If you look at all the teams that win the Premier League title, even Liverpool won it a couple of years ago, count the amount of 1-0s they get in those seasons, and it supersedes probably any other result. And that's, I hate to say it, but that you win those games, that's championship stuff. That really is championship stuff, because it's all the other teams drop points. I think it was only Chelsea at the top on that night that picked up points, beating Villa quite comfortably. City dropped points, United dropped points, and there's Arsenal just chipping away.
And speaking of championship stuff, we'll get to it now. So Spurs didn't do too well today.
I thought you were going to talk about the playoff system changing, no,
we are going in on Spurs a little bit. Are
you talking about what can benefit Spurs next season?
Yes, possible. Well, yes. No, I still think they're going to stay up. I'm of the camp that Spurs can't possibly go down, but I know there's a lot of people in the camp of they absolutely can, and they probably will. But Tudor came out today, didn't he? I mean, bless him. He's only been there for a little bit, so I'm almost hoping it's because it's his misunderstanding English. But I wrote his quote down. It says, "The boat is going in the direction that I need it to go," and he's like, some people can stay in the. I'm paraphrasing a little bit. Some people can stay in the boat, and others who don't want to be involved can leave the boat. And I'm presuming he's referring to Mickey van der Ven.
I was going to say Mickey van der Ven for getting a red today. So maybe that was
and then he said he saw more in today's game that's given belief than ever before. So I'm like, all right, listen, I hope he's right because, it's tough to go into a position that he's gone into. He's a relative unknown in the Premier League. He's got a decent record in it, or he's got a pedigree somewhere as a coach. He's not a bad coach, but he's come into an environment where results are expected now. Spurs fans are probably looking and going, we could have gone and got a handful of different people, but this is the geezer we've got. What are you going to do for us? And he's come straight in and they've got done twice. So
let me throw a stat out from today. Overall possession, Tottenham, 39.8%. At home against Crystal Palace, who struggled for points lately. Obviously they're going through the issues with Glasner and selling players. It's still political. Glasner said some unpopular things and whatnot, and he's going in the summer anyway. But if you're at home and you're Tottenham and you've got 39% possession, what does that say?
I know.
And
they scored first.
Right.
The place it was an absolute fire drill, wasn't it? They were leaving in the droves in the second half. It's sad. And listen, I've got a problem because my missus is a Spurs fan, so it's going to be a problem if they do go.
Justice for 91. Justice for 91.
Oh, start. Yeah. She was at that as well, I think. But it's going to be a difficult one. And you think about the players like Van der Ven clearly is having none of it.
Yeah.
Because he's trying to. It's an obvious red card. There's nothing you can do. He's trying to pull the player down.
Yeah.
Could the fella covered? I don't know. It's
a hard one as well now because for him as a player, he knows that. I'd say he's an $80-90 million pound player. He's going to have a team of people lining up for him in the summer if they go down.
Yeah.
The way football works nowadays is the agent coming in and saying, don't worry, just get the season out, get the World Cup in. We'll get you a big move in the summer kind of thing. But I'm a form guy, Gary. And if you look at the form, their form's awful.
Tottenham haven't had a pen in the league all season explains a lot. Does it explain? I wonder if he's going to get back to me now, Sal. Does it explain the fact that they're just not getting into attacking areas?
I was thinking the same. How many touches they've had in the opposition's penalty area?
Yeah.
That's a stat we could look up as well, compared to take the top 20 teams in the Premier, take the top 20 teams in the Premier League. Who's had the most and the least touches in the opposition's penalty box?
Yeah. Be Spurs, just nailing people in their own box.
I mean, you go back to the Spurs thing, is like, from a Spurs point of view, is they sold Harry Kane, Son's allowed to leave. Nobody's come in and replace him. I think it was Gareth Bale came out today and is like, he mentioned about the money and everything, but they're always trying to buy kids that are potentially going to be the next big thing. They're never buying the final product. And he made a point about, Manchester United have really been off the ball the last couple of years, but at least they're trying to buy the final product. They're trying to buy players that are not quite in the peak, but there or thereabouts. And Mbuemo's proved himself in the Premier League. Kuna's proved himself in the Premier League. They get Casemiro off the back of winning all those Champions Leagues. So they're buying players or aiming to get players that are there or thereabouts. Spurs are the way around. They're not spending the money and they're getting the people that potentially in 4 or 5 years he could be something. But they didn't replace Kane and they didn't replace Son. And those guys were pivotal for Spurs when they were pushing for Champions League spaces or even challenging for the league. And remember the 1 year they came third in a 2-horse race. But that's what are they looking at from a Spurs pan? They've got, Roy Keane said it, they've got the stadium now, they've got the training facilities, they've got everything in the world. Potentially next season, they could be making their money from NFL games, concerts, and boxing matches. Yeah,
true, isn't it? It's such a shame.
Yeah,
such a shame. But we'll have a quick look at the table because we're on the clock a little bit, and we have got the question. I don't want to discount this question. I love this question. You've got about another 5 minutes on these. If you've got a notes written down, 11 stadiums that hosted Premier League football that no longer exist.
It's like countdown, isn't it? How many you got?
You got 5 minutes left before it goes.
Seven. I think I got 7 or 8 my side.
But if you look at the bottom part of the table now, West Ham got a big win at Fulham. They're now on 28. Their goal difference is considerably worse than Tottenham's.
Right.
But then you've got Forest on 28, Tottenham on 29, and Leeds on 31. Brighton are on 37 with 9 games left. So you've got to figure. But I genuinely think this is one of those seasons where you need to get 40 points.
Right.
Genuinely think that.
So I'll break it down with the stats you just said. If I take the last 5 games in play, and you look at West Ham, the last 5 games, they've won 2, drawn 2, lost 1. Then you got Forest, they've lost 3, drawn 2. Spurs, lost 5.
Yeah.
Leeds, won 1, drawn 2, lost 2. So apart from Spurs and Forest, teams are picking up wins. Burnley, won 1, drawn 1, lost 3. Wolves, won 2, drawn 2, lost 1. So Spurs and Forest don't really have the form out of those lot. But then you...
I know. We'll look at the fixtures.
Wild.
Yeah, we'll look at the fixtures a little bit more next week, because obviously there'll be games coming up with the FA Cup, and you'll have had FA Cup and Champions League and the Europa Leagues next week. So
one last thing I want to say on Spurs, because I just thought about this very quickly. There was a thing online I saw the other day. It was like the top 4 or 5 teams to get relegated from the Premier League, and one of them they mentioned was West Ham. So
Kelly Big Fingers is not giving up here. She's coming in on Main Road. Not a bad
shout. So it was
shout.
a season when West Ham went down. They had Carrick, they had Cole, they had Di Canio in that side. Great, international players. Obviously, the Carrick and Cole were a little bit young at that time and everything, and they went down with that side. If this Spurs team was to go down, who are the superstars that you would say, they're too good to go down? Because I'll go back to when Forest got relegated from the first season of the Premier League. They had Stuart Pearce, they had Roy Keane, they had Nigel Clough. They had a nucleus of international players. Who in that Spurs team? Maybe Van der Ven.
But he goes.
But who else is in that team where you're thinking, they're too good to go down? Maybe the name is, but the players definitely aren't.
Like, you've got to look at Xavi Simons, but he's not really lit it up. And I don't think he's a player that's going to grab a team by the scruff of the neck.
No.
Richarlison's too inconsistent.
You can't get sent off every other weekend.
Yeah, Romero's an absolute. Yeah, he's an absolute bomb scare, isn't he? Like it's a tough one. I don't know. It's very difficult.
I'll probably bias that in a minute and talk about Forest. You got Anderson and Gibbs White, 2 of the most sought after English players in the Premier League. So if Forest went down, they'd find homes. But they've got Murillo, who's one of the top, Brazilian defenders that people are after as well. They've got a team of players that people will want to go after and buy in the summer if they went down. What have we got from Tottenham? Again, I'm not picking on Spurs. I'm just looking at that team. If I'm a Spurs fan, I'm worried because there's no one in there that's A, going to get me goals, or B, going to basically drag me up by themselves. So it's and they've lost 5 out of the last 5.
Yeah, true. Very true. Well, I don't want to get too down on them this week because I've swerved.
The week after.
I've swerved. Yeah, next week we're just going to go all in on them again. Their next game, incidentally, they've got Atletico Madrid in the Champions League, and in the middle of that, they've got us at home. And we're at home, so it should be an interesting one for them. So
6 out of 6.
So
is that going to be a lock-in? We'll talk about that next week.
I could be sleeping on the couch in a couple of weeks. Yeah, exactly. Never know. Never know. All right. Well, listen, we've had this question going, and I've been giddy about this question all day. Right. So the 11 stadiums. So I'm going to go through them, and you tell me what you've got. All right. So in 11 stadiums that host the Premier League football that no longer exist. All right. So I'll start from the bottom. So you got Ayresome Park, which is Middlesbrough.
Yep.
They moved in 97, I believe, to the Riverside. You've got the baseball ground, Derby County. Someone questioned me on this one, and I said, I can vividly remember Juninho being... I can remember Juninho playing there for Middlesbrough, just absolutely caked in mud.
Right. Awful pitch. Always, even back to the Cloughie days, awful pitch.
Brutal. All right, I've got Roker Park, Sunderland.
Yeah.
They played there for a couple of years. White Hart Lane, which somebody got.
Yeah.
Highbury, which is now a lovely apartment complex.
Yep.
Which the pitch is still, some of the stands are still there, but they're all been changed into flats, haven't they?
Flats, yeah.
Yeah, and the pitch.
The tower's still there, and the main one at the side.
Yeah, the clock end. Yeah. All right, you got Filbert Street.
Got that one played there.
Burndon Park, Bolton Wanderers.
Ooh.
Which, if you remember, if any of the old people, older generation are listening, myself included, to be fair, in this
vintage.
There was a vintage, a bit of vintage. There was a Normid superstore in the corner of this ground, and if you were in the away end and you were high enough up, you could only see half the pitch. You couldn't see the corner flag because the Normid superstore was in the way.
My favourite player from that area is Super John McGinley.
Oh, they had Mixu Patalainen and John McGinley.
Patalainen.
Yeah, they had some players. All right. What else? We got 4 left. We have Main Road.
You said Highfield, right?
Main Road. No, we didn't say that. We've just spoiled it. All right, we got Highfield Road.
I think Kelly Fatfinger said it in the thing.
Oh, Kelly Big Fingers, yeah. And then she's just come pinging in again here now. Bowling ground.
Ooh.
Or Upton Park.
Upton Park.
It's the bowling ground. I've got too many West Ham friends that Sonny Young will kill us if we say anything other than the bowling ground. And then the last one, which is the one that kind of trips a lot of people up. And again, this is proper old school. And you think there's one player that you think of when you think of this ground.
Top of the list.
And it's the Dell. Is it top of the list?
Southampton, top of the list.
Yeah. And who's the one player you think of when you think of that ground?
Oh, Super Matt.
Matt Letizia, isn't it? The dink, and then the side-footed finish against Newcastle. Absolutely top draw.
Big shin pads, pony boots.
Oh, pony boots. Don't start me on that. We'll get on that.
Could we just say what the one that I thought of, but it wasn't one because the ground is still going today, and that's Goodison.
That is the technical. That is the.
I was waiting for a few people to text in, but based on the context of the question, grounds that still stand today, that still stand today.
Yeah, because Everton women's team are playing at Goodison Park, so we have to acknowledge that as well. It's not gone anywhere, and it won't go anywhere. It's part of the fabric. It's part of the fabric of the city. All right, mate. I think that's us. I think we've got the end of it. Especially with no games this week. Hopefully, listen, thanks so much. I appreciate all the comments. We've had a rake of comments today that's been good. Some good, some bad, some biased. Heavy Kev went right in on Spurs. But you know what? I feel bad. If you've got a friend who's a Spurs fan, just give them a ring. See how they're doing. Just check in on them. Do you know what I mean? Because it's a tough time for them at the moment. They're struggling. And
is there a number we can put across the street, across the top?
I don't know. I'll have to find something. Maybe we'll put it in the WhatsApp. But that might be the poll. That might be the poll for this week, and we'll put it out there. Are Spurs too good to go down?
All right. Yeah, that's a yes or no. I like it. There's no
it's an easy one
for this, is there?
No, it's very black and white. Are Spurs good enough, too good to go down? Well, we're going to put that up on the Instagram and on the Facebook as well. But yeah, beautiful. Again, thanks very much for joining us this week. As always, please like and subscribe on YouTube. Follow us on Instagram and Facebook at EPL Across the Pond. This has been the Thursday Preview Show. I've been Gary. That's been Chris. Thanks very much. Have a great weekend.
Enjoy, guys.
Cheers.